Hey, you're wide receiver Khalil Shakir, right?
I sure am, kid. Here, go long.
Whoa! You're pretty good at football, man.
And you guys are pretty good at pizza.
Oh, sick. Dude.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Postgame Show podcast here on Trainwreck Sports. You all know why we're here. The Bills defeat the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll say it handily, soundly, 30-21 today, this afternoon, this evening in Orchard Park, New York. Gents, Maniac, I'm really proud of you, actually, and I wanted to say that on air first because you came on Twitter right after the game and you took a stand. You're like, you know what? I'll own up to this. I said all week the Bills were going to win by double digits. Hand up, my bad. I'm really respect it, man. That's why we get along so well. Like that's
gotta admit when you're wrong and hand up. I was completely wrong. I'll tell you what. Speaking of shocked, I'm shocked that. Michael J. Partham can make time for us. I'm sure his agent is ringing his phone off the hook. Where can we get you? We got potential deals to get you over here going super viral. But it's like you said, it was, I would say it was as handily of a victory, as you can have where it is a 2-point game with 7 minutes left. They did trail briefly, in that part in the first half, seized back momentum quickly. Got stops in the third when they needed to, and the game was never really in doubt, even though there was obviously some Buffalo worry, no matter who you were.
But it did, so it wasn't just me then, in your eyes, that it felt like the Bills were kind of in control, even when they were trailing at one point. Like, it felt like they were playing at their pace, at their style, and what we've seen from this team, it could go the way that it ended up going the way it did. What are you Partham? How were you feeling during the game, and how did you end up feeling after the game there?
Well, first off, let's just say that out of everybody that said that the Tyler Bass extra point was probably going to might end up costing us in the end, it really ended up costing Maniac in the end, because that extra point was the difference between a double-digit win and not. Is that not true?
I got to eat it. That's my guy.
But, by the way, all the Chiefs fans are in my mentions basically saying you won your Super Bowl, like anybody was saying that beforehand. I mean, you were on Nate Geary and sort of myself, because I was sharing his yep, indeed, Bunt, great win.
Bunty's hyped up.
You were on Nate, and you might as well have been on me, because I was sharing Nate's feeling that I wasn't as up for this game as previous games against the Chiefs in the regular season at least have been, because ultimately we could get the Chiefs at home again in the playoffs, and then we're going to look back on this game and say, oh, what did it really matter?
That's fair, but the biggest thing is, in this moment right here, that felt great. Like, the sense of relief and joy at the same time. Can we just talk about in the moment, 4th and 2? I was worried they were going to try. I was honestly like, is Sean just like
going to for sure they were kicking it?
Tyler Bass coming out here, get a redeeming moment, trust the defense. I'm like, Mahomes going to get the ball with 2 minutes left, 2 timeouts. I've seen this movie. I was terrified. And then Josh is coming out there. But that moment and the play that Allen makes it's otherworldly of that moment, but just the confidence when you saw them coming out there with the 4th and 2, and it was just I'm like at a loss of words right now.
His back pocket on a 4th and 2, he can just run for it. He can just dive for that, really. But who knew that he was going to run through the entire half of the Chiefs defense all the way to the end zone?
It felt so normal, but it was like one of the most insane plays in the NFL you'll see all year too. And it was like a really like reflective point for me watching this in this game with the Bills and being like, they're in control of this game. This isn't like to go ahead like it had been in years past. This is to seal the deal, like close the door shut on this team. That's something they've had trouble with in these games, or it's been a Taron Johnson, interception, things like that, like defensive plays. No, they aggressively put a stamp on this game against this team, in a game that I think they controlled the whole time and played at their pace, and it paid off completely at the end. You look at the box score, it looks like they dominated this game too. You look at yards, if you want to just get counting stats, things like that, time of possession. And it just felt like that in that exact moment was that kind of encapsulation of it. What does it mean for later on? Who knows? But for right now, it felt great, man.
A lot of logic here from the Dreamboat, of course. And speaking with logic, am I crazy to think that Josh Allen play, that run, could be the equivalent of Hulk Hogan slamming the 700-pound Andre the Giant in front of 95,000 screaming Hulkamaniacs, brother? We could see a complete change of trajectory in this overall rivalry. This could be the play that puts the Bills into that upper echelon Super Bowl contender every year and maybe takes the Kansas City Chiefs off their high horse. Partham, you know the underlying numbers support that the Chiefs were not really a undefeated team coming into today.
Can you hear Parthy?
Here, is he muted?
Okay, Parthy, something's going on with your mic there. All right, I didn't know if it was me or this is crazy.
I thought he was making, I thought he was basically making fun of me. He's like, "This is what you look like, dumbass." When you're mute monster. But what do you got for us?
I went the wrong way with my volume here, but we played the team with the horseshoe on their side of their logo last week, and now we were playing the team that had the horseshoe up their ass this whole year from the first week on to the previous week, and it felt like no matter how superior our team was in the box score, on the drives, moving the ball around, it was one of those games where you knew. I mean, freaking, what was it? Tony Romo was saying, "Is it too much? Is it too much for Patrick Mahomes to overcome?" Like he's trying to will it into existence here or something. But hey, ultimately, it wasn't Buffalo versus the refs as much as it was Buffalo versus Patrick Mahomes. So, with the one or two exceptions, with like a missed face mask hold, maybe one other questionable play, an incomplete pass on a third down throw that really should have been looked at under 2 minutes. Not much to complain about this game. I do think the Bills are running at the ball on first down just a little bit too much because they didn't really get much going with their running game on those first down plays. Speaking of specific downs, the Chiefs here, they've been said to be not very good on first or second down, but very good on third down, very good on sustaining drives. This game, they were 5 for 10 on third downs. So the defense was able to get them off the field a couple of times because of turnovers. Yeah. So I think it's very promising. And I think it's very promising. And it's not my job to point out the MASH unit over in Kansas City. I don't care who's injured on their side. I care who's injured on our side. And we were still able to beat their second strings with our second strings, or whatever the heck you want to call it. Okay. They haven't seen Keon Coleman against their personnel yet. They haven't gone up against Matt Milano, I would say, in a while. I forget what he was, whether he was on the playoff team last year, but he was definitely injured for the most of last year anyway. We were without Spencer Brown. We were without Keon Coleman. We were without Dalton Kincaid. We at least got Amari back, and so they saw a little bit of Amari, and he was effective early on. And by the way, speaking of wide receivers who are being effective, how about Curtis freaking Samuel? We thought last week was the Curtis Samuel game. It was only like for a quarter, but this was his welcome to Buffalo here.
In the biggest moment,
shame to
right?
See Curtis Samuel evolving into this offense. You really hate to see it, boys. You hate
Who
to
would
see
have thought?
Continued growth. I will say though, that we are riding high. We are talking good. There was clearly some kind of a commitment to running on first down today. It seemed like Brady was kind of stuck on that. I mean, it was not great to constantly be in second and third and long there. Again,
third and long.
We obviously were able to take care of it. We were able to pick up a lot of them. So kudos to that third down efficiency, given these stakes, given the distances on those third downs, obviously. But it just felt like we were battling it all game long. And then when you were getting to that point where neither team scored in the third quarter and it was still 16-14, it was really worrisome, Micah and Parthy, that, Joe Brady wasn't making adjustments in my eyes. But I guess the commitment to the game plan worked off because in the end, they were kind of able to wear down the Chiefs. But what did you think about that, commitment to the early run and kind of those early down struggles?
I think it's more to me, and I agree, because I'm not a guy that likes early down running. I would rather, be one of those teams on the charts where they're passing first more often. And it did. There was a lot of situations. Their third down efficiency, 9 for 15 today, that's crazy. And Allen was awesome today and pulled plays out where he, most quarterbacks don't. So they have a cheat code there, and they leaned on him a lot today, obviously. But they wanted to. This is a game in my mind that's like it's a symptom of a microcosm of this game and what this is for like what the Bills' vision of the offense they want to be and what we've always known McDermott wanted them to be as like a physical team because they just leaned on the Chiefs. And that was, I think, the thing about establishing the run is like, we're just going to keep pressing on you and pushing on you. And at the end of the game, you're going to crack. And by the end, the first downs, the Chiefs achieved 15 passing first downs, only 3 on the run. The Bills had 13 passing and 9 on the run. So the Bills were like moving the chains both ways. They're leaning on him rushing. And it was Allen a lot with his legs. Obviously, he's the leading rusher and he has the best day. But I think it was just kind of like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to out physical you. And you're not going to be able to last, 60 minutes on the field with us because we're just going to beat you up. And that's what they did. And it was the Allen run is the microcosm of that. Allen's seeking out, like he's literally like searching for linebackers and defensive backs to throw his shoulder into. And you just don't see that from a lot of guys. So I think it was just a microcosm of all that, like this identity that Sean McDermott has built with this specific team this year in 2024.
Couldn't have said it
Speaking
better
of
myself.
the Bills' effectiveness on first and 10 runs, I have some stats from Mike Catalano, 13 Wham News. He listed off the first few first and 10 runs of 1 yard, 0, -1, 1, 5 yards, 2 yards, and 1 yard. So, and I don't know how it played out for the rest of the game, but I get the feeling that Joe Brady wanted to establish the run mostly because of him being down to two of his more reliable pass catchers in Kincaid and Coleman.
True. Yeah, that's a great point too. But how nice is it to have an Amari Cooper? Two catches.
That first catch that he had where he catches it one-handed, I saw him well covered going along the sideline. I thought, okay, that's probably going to go out of bounds or he's not going to be able to get a hand on that. He brings it in one-handed with his injured wrist, mind you.
Wow.
Can I ask a question? What were you more impressed by, that catch or his other one that Andy Reid and co ended up challenging and it stood?
Yeah.
What was more impressive? I thought that second catch, I thought no chance did he get the second foot down.
Yeah, that was a really impressive catch. And the tracking on it, because Allen had like a split second to throw that up and flick it up there. Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't the angle that Allen wanted it. Like Allen would have, if he had a chance, he probably rifles that in there and it's a touchdown like while he's in the end zone. So it was a great tracking by Cooper too. Yeah, it's 2 plays that changed the game, and that's what you go out and get him for, right? And Knox, as everybody thought, he's going to step up. He's going to do well. I think someone said earlier, Knox hasn't had 40 yards, or Knox, whenever he's tight end 1, he gets 40 yards. And what did he end up today? 4 catches, 40 yards. I mean, he came in through and delivered when he needed to today too. But yeah, the Samuel thing's crazy. It's like, because now you look at this team in totality, like in the future, and even for this year, when Coleman's back healthy, if Samuel's cooking like this and getting comfortable, he's not going to get the same opportunities as he is right now when Coleman's back. But they have real weapons now. When we were talking at the beginning of the year about them lacking weapons and wondering if Coleman can play in a big role, and it's a lot of Matt Collins and everything. It's crazy how it's flipped. It's awesome how your team can like flip during NFL season, and here they are.
I haven't seen the film on it either, but on the Samuel touchdown, I feel like he kind of was running a route and then just picked up where Allen was going. It was kind of paralleling him on that cross. Again, I don't know if he was running across all the way across the field, but
yeah,
my point being in all this rant is that I think you kind of achieve your position in this offense when you finally learn how to adjust with Josh on the run. Again, you can learn the playbook, you can learn the timing and everything like that. But when you finally start to, develop that connection when Josh is moving, you know exactly where to go, the pocket, the windows to hit, that kind of means everything. And I think even the ball, that Josh threw to him wasn't perfect. He could have dropped it and it could have been like, I think it was a little bit behind him. He kind of had to make an acrobatic catch as he turned around. But very impressive. And yeah, I think really Curtis Samuel could be the missing piece. You get Kincaid back, you get Spencer Brown back, you start pounding the run. I think Curtis Samuel being effective out of that slot could be the missing piece, boys.
Yeah. Speaking of getting guys back, hey, Jonathan Ferguson, you got to be careful because you start listing off all the Bills players that they were missing today. You're going to get Chiefs fans in your message listing off all the guys they were missing and saying, well, I guess you won your Super Bowl today, even though our coach is literally in the locker room saying, hey, this isn't our Super Bowl. We got a long way to go. But what do we know?
Mike, you've been fighting the good fight too. I really respect the efforts you're putting in there.
Yeah. I mean, every one of us once in a while just gets fans in our mentions, making straw man arguments. And you know what? As my friends Mike Danger and Gene Battaglia over at 95.7 The Fan over in Rochester like to say, when you get people like that in your mentions, you got to tell them it's a big Francesa. What does that mean?
Oh, who cares?
Who cares what they say?
Look
Who cares
at
what they
that.
think? Who cares what arguments they want to make that you didn't make in the first place?
I love it.
And we
That was good. I was proud of you.
ultimately know that the playoffs are what's going to matter. We just have this nice feather in our cap that we might have the inside
That's
track
the
for the
thing,
one
Mike.
seed, and we ended your undefeated season so that the Dolphins can toast their champagne, which is about the only thing they can celebrate this season.
That's the thing, Mike, is you have to enjoy that in a long NFL season, and when it comes down to games where we know where it's going to be a heart-wrenching game one way or the other in January, you got to enjoy the moments like this. The Chiefs are no longer undefeated. The Bills do have a real chance at the 1 seed, because if you're watching Sunday Night Football right now, the Chargers are putting a beat down on the Bengals. Chiefs still have to play the Chargers. If you watched, and probably didn't see it because you were watching the Bills game, but the Denver Broncos, who still play the Chiefs again this year, put a beat down on the Atlanta Falcons, who are a good football team. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are the other team we have to worry about with the 1 seed apparently here. Now have a game and a marginal lead in the NFC North, and they play the Kansas City Chiefs too. So that 1 seed is very much alive. The Chiefs are not a team. They're not going 16-1. So it's opened up a lot of new doors where this game, everybody talked about where this game doesn't matter. It'll matter if you get a bye in going into the playoffs or in the wild card round, which the Bills have never had, because it's proven statistically that is helpful to making the Super Bowl at the very least. So it's a very important race now at this point where the Bills should take it seriously and play for that second bye.
Where this game was big to me, and people will say, well, you're not going to catch them for the 1. Even if you think they're not going to catch them for the 1, I'll concede that, even though it's not 100% locked in. This is big for your long-term, like getting the 2 or the 3 seed, to make sure you don't have to play Kansas City in the first or second round of the playoffs. So it's big overall there in that scheme. Obviously, there's a lot of season left. Kansas City still has at Panthers. They're a 10-point favorite next week. Only 10 points over the Panthers, who are basically one of the worst teams. I mean, is that
only
a little bit
10
of a sketchy
points
line?
is crazy.
I think only 10 points is crazy. Raiders, Chargers, at Browns. At Browns may not be as easy as it looks.
It's going to be a mess.
Versus Texans. At Steelers, at Broncos. I mean, there could be
the Steelers
2
might
to
be
3
for
losses
real.
in there.
The Steelers might be.
I'm just saying that
that
game is going to be on Christmas in Pittsburgh. Okay, so there could be some things in line. Point being that there's a lot of season left, and you were just in a situation today where if you lost, you were really more focused on your own business. You were really focused on that point, and eyes on your own paper, and taking care of things from then. Now you're looking at every game that Kansas City and Pittsburgh play, of course.
Yeah, we're going to be locked in the rest of the season. I mean, the Pittsburgh thing is definitely not something any of us expected. I thought Pittsburgh was going to be solid again this year, but that defense is crazy, and they really just needed competency at quarterback. But that's helpful. Like, that's huge with the way the seasons broke out, where, like you said, the 2 or 3 seed, you got a 7-4 Ravens team now. You got a 6-4 Texans team. So you have a healthy couple game lead on these teams that, have the tie break on you. So they have a great shot right now where they're sitting pretty in that, 2. But yeah, the Steelers thing is a wild card with where they could end up the rest of the season.
Steelers are absolutely
fun to be in the mix.
Out of nowhere for sure. Very crazy that the Bills are 9-2 and they're jousting with a couple of teams.
9-2, man.
No doubt. Hey, I don't know about you. I'm feeling 9-2. Thank you, Parthy. With that said, if we have a little lull here, though, I know we're talking big picture. If we can zone in for a little bit, if we want to be critical, and I got to say this.
Okay.
What was the deal? What was the deal with that challenge in the first quarter?
Oh, your typical McDermott challenge. See if he can get something. I mean, Andy Reid had one that he lost too, ultimately.
It's always in these games, too. Like, these big games, he pulls out the random challenge, too. Like, it's crazy.
Who's
my
the former
argument to
official that they have in
Parky,
the
would
booth
be,
that's supposed to be advising them on
yeah,
these things?
this guy's a loser. Whoever's in the booth should be fired for them. I mean, like, no offense, but what improvement, what tangible improvement have you seen from having this ESPN? I can't even say his name. He's basically like Voldemort in Harry Potter. He's been so fucking bad in the booth. I mean, she's like no tangible improvement, right?
No, there's nothing's changed.
Like,
Not a
are we
damn
serious?
thing. What does
John
he do?
Perry.
Yes.
John Perry. Like, what
There
does
you
this
go.
guy do? Was he flagging down, like, challenge that? Because that's so, I mean, there has not been one situation this year where the Bills benefited at all.
No, nothing's changed. Maybe Sean's
I'd
just
like to
like
see
maybe
their
Sean
challenge
like
record
listens to
this
him.
year
Sean
compared to
hears
last
him and
year.
he's like, stupid guy. Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about, and then just is wrong. And goes on
Honest
with his day.
question. Has the Bills challenge situation been any better than if like an 8th grader was in Sean McDermott's ear, like telling him what to challenge?
No.
No, it really hasn't. I'm
Unless
just
the
saying, there
8th
has
grader
never been
like
any,
forgets, unless the 8th grader like forgets how many challenges you get. That's the only thing that's more likely in this scenario.
I'm just saying, like John Perry, like, I mean, talk about like, cushy job like transfers.
We should have signed Gene Steratore, man, because he's got all the answers, right?
Yeah.
Experts.
Would have
They're
spared
experts.
Jeremy White a lot of
Officiating experts.
suffering.
Yeah, Jeremy loved the John Perry signing. I'm sure he was probably hyped up about that. It was a weird McDermott moment, but honestly, I loved a lot of the way they attacked this game. Even if the runs were kind of annoying, I got what they were trying to do because it's just a different Chiefs team. You don't have to fight explosive for explosive anymore. And if you think you're more physical than them, which the Bills, that's what they are. That's why they're 9-2 this year. They're a bully. Like, the offensive and defensive line are bullies. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, speaking of explosive or potentially explosive, I mean, we were all saying, if Andy Reid wanted to be really petty, he was going to have to work Xavier Worthy into this into the game plan and really try to stick it to us. And like early on in the first half, at least, it seems like they were going to do that.
The first play from scrimmage, they give him the sweep. I'm like, you assholes, this is crazy.
I do believe they held basically nothing, held Worthy to nothing in the second half. So there's your second half adjustments from Bobby Babbage. So credit to him.
Yeah, but he was the Worthy 4 for 61. He gets the touchdown. They did definitely try to feed him there. But yeah, and it wasn't anything too much.
It was frustrating to not have Keon in this game to answer him, to say, hey, you got your pick, we got ours, and he's just as good.
Well, maybe Keon will get a chance in January. That's what we can hope for, right? The other interesting thing to add to the point about the Bills. Go ahead.
Real quick, just on that point again, in a way, him not playing and Worthy being rendered like basically meaningless in the second half was the ultimate like W for the Bills. Like, because you think about all the fretting and you think about all the worrying that was happening. I mean, geez, if you were around in April, you would have thought that, the Bills had dropped a nuke on the organization by trading this pick away. And like, and Worthy was basically,
I think people were rightfully worried.
And Worthy was basically on fire. And how could you, give this value to the Chiefs? And Worthy's been like,
half of that goes to Patrick. Half of that goes to Patrick Mahomes not being able to hit him on deep routes. Half of that goes to Patrick Mahomes not being able to hit him on deep routes.
Hey, man, can we talk about Mahomes? Why is Patrick Mahomes just keep throwing so many interceptions, man? Like, it's
turnover machine.
Irresponsible.
Before we move on, I had the exact stats for Xavier Worthy. These are via Howard Simon, so credit to him. First half, 5 targets, 4 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown. Second half, no targets whatsoever. And speaking of guys that were held down, Travis Kelce, 4 targets, 2 overall, 2 catches, and 8 yards. I mean, I guess Taylor didn't miss much by skipping this game, did she?
No, this is a great one for Taylor to skip, to be honest. Yeah.
It's kind of curious because she's right around the corner in Toronto, and she didn't want to, take the 2-hour drive down here. I don't know.
She don't want the smoke. That's for
the record. It doesn't bother me when they show her on TV. All right, I'm perfectly fine with that. I hope they have a nice, long, happy life together.
NFL can do whatever they want. Just keep stacking.
They're getting more fans.
They're
drawing in, women, little girls and women that previously wouldn't watch football, and now they're into it. Of course, they're all becoming Chiefs fans. So, Guess only Kansas City is going to benefit from that, but a lot of more people are being exposed to the game for it. So I say I'm all for it.
And if Travis Kelce got traded or something, they would all just change like teams.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Why not?
It's kind of
Probably.
crazy.
I think that's how it would. Yeah. They would just switch.
I mean, well,
support.
because they're just tribal for Taylor, basically.
And they would make a breakup song about the Chiefs, you know.
That's true.
Now, here's the thing: if Taylor was to break up with Travis, or they had a really bad breakup, would that make the Chiefs instantly one of the more hated teams because of the population like flop switch of the Swifties then not liking the Chiefs?
Will it be an internal civil war? The now ex-Chiefs fans who were on board because they were Taylor fans, and the diehard Chiefs fans living in Kansas City and where else?
It could turn quickly. You're right.
I gotta say, honestly, too, I'm kind of glad that the Swifties aren't gonna have an undefeated season, because if they started tuning in and their second NFL season was just undefeated, like, are you kidding me?
A combination of an undefeated season and a third straight Super Bowl, like two things that we have never seen in the 100-year history of the National Football League happening at the same time. That would have surpassed anything even the Patriots had done, and we'd never hear the end of it. So I'm glad we at least took one of those out.
I've never felt such a sense of just like, I was like, I was happy. Like, I was obviously happy watching the end of this game and seeing the Allen run and everything else. But it was just such a nice sense of relief, because I really did not want to hear about the Chiefs being undefeated and beating the Bills. It would have just been horrible. Like, tomorrow would have just been like any podcast I would have tried to listen to. I would have turned on Sports Center in the morning, eating cereal, whatever. It just would have made me sick. Like, I'm just like, that's what I mean. Like, you know what? Who cares? It doesn't matter towards January. I don't know, whatever. I know the Bills are really good, and it would have sucked way worse if they lost this game than it does sitting here right now with you gentlemen. So can't we just all have that? Can't we all just have that, Bills fans?
Yeah, and I'm sure. Listen. I'm kind of a Swiftie myself, obviously. Like, I'm a DeAndre Swiftie. You know what I mean? But it's just not Swiftie. Sorry, you just don't get. Undefeated seasons don't grow on trees. You got to earn those things. Just like the Bills have earned this 9-2 start, best start since 1992, 32 years. Andre Reed, he's excited.
As well, he should be.
He's hyped up. All right,
So Bill's got the off week. What's the biggest thing we need out of this besides Milano ramping up and getting in the lineup? Because clearly 21 days window being activated, they're expecting him to play versus the 49ers, clearly, right?
Yeah. I would imagine that he gets activated. He's not playing 100% of the snaps that first week or even the first couple weeks, because Williams has played so well that they can find a way to balance and get both those guys on the field. But I would imagine he's definitely going to be out there Sunday Night Football and have a role.
I would say the biggest thing besides everybody getting healthy is further integrating Amari Cooper into this offense, because he's been able to make plays here and there, but getting him more familiarized over the next. Well, I'm sure they're going to take a whole week off and then get back to work the next week. But if I were a betting man, I would say with everything I heard about that first week he was here and him putting in overtime hours with the offensive coaches trying to get up to speed for his first game, I bet he's going to put in a little more overtime for these next 2 weeks, getting up to speed with Joe Brady's offense.
Getting all the receivers healthy we haven't seen it since in the game that they were all together. It was electric. Like, the passing offense is the best that we've seen all the time. So like, we can get that for the stretch. This team, we don't know, like, the ceiling. I feel like they still haven't reached the ceiling with this team yet, which is crazy to say with how good they've been this year. But there's still so much talent out there, injured or whatever. If they are all finally healthy, who knows, man? Like, it's an impressive job of how they've had depth and had guys fill in and are just like stars in their roles again at this point. So I don't know. It feels a lot different than years past with Bills teams. Like, they just feel like deep, and they feel they have composure. Like, they can get through hard shit. Like, this game, like, in any moment they didn't falter. They just kept moving forward, and it paid off at the end.
Yeah, I think we'd all agree that the defense is great against average to bad QBs and good against elite QBs. The defense is good, and you have Josh Allen. So that's just that equation alone is gonna put you in so many games, gonna put you in position to win. I mean, the play today, 4th and 2. Who knows? Maybe a normal quarterback tries to make that throw and, it's incomplete. You change the game. But instead, you got Josh, and we're into the bye at 9 and 2. Hopefully, everyone's feeling good. I know Shakir takes that shot at the end of the game. He was doing a Sports Center spot, like right after the end of the game. So, it seemed like he was feeling well. Dawkins was down, but he came right back in. But, yeah, hopefully these guys get geared up because that's the biggest thing, like you said, is the injury picture to me.
All right, so looking ahead, obviously the toughest test ahead is the now 9-1 Lions, who basically embarrassed Jacksonville today. They should probably just fold that team after that. Just route, like, what is it, 50-plus points? Anyway, so we got the Niners up next. They're only 5-5, but of course they're a banged-up team as well. Should we worry at all about the Patriots? They're starting to flash just a little bit.
Maybe one of the games. I mean, the road game probably.
Yeah,
probably. Drake May's pretty good.
Drake May, they do have some interesting weapons. Oh no, Mike, come on. Drake.
No, he's good. He's pretty good. No, I'm not saying this year.
Drake May in a damn locker.
Okay, you're right.
Well, that road game is the very last game, and we might have everything that we need wrapped up by then. So we might as well just rest.
Well, that's why that would be crucial to have that done. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, they worry me. The Patriots do worry me. I think that's fair.
I ain't worried about the Jets. That's for sure.
Nope. The Lions have scored 52 twice this year. That's nuts.
Dude, Zach Wilson and whoever it was having a better win percentage as a Jets quarterback than Aaron Rodgers is hysterical.
Yeah, I do not want to see the Lions in the Super Bowl, assuming we can get there, and not just for the fact that they're a good team, but it would just wrench my heart out having to be the one to beat them the first time in their Super Bowl. I mean, we enjoy ours,
Parthy, that's like Azora High right there, shit. Okay, you don't get there and get to like play like a villain. Like you got to play the one other team that you've admired and like loved and can like respect. Like you got to stab them right in the heart.
Put them down.
And that's what the Bills would have to do. I mean, McDermott versus Dan Campbell. You want to talk about some ankle biters? I mean, my goodness. Sue would be getting it.
It would be
they'll have a sparring wrestling fight the week leading up if that would happen.
Oh yeah. Well, we should find a way to get to AI to generate that. That would be amazing.
Oh, there you go.
But we're gonna get a preview in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, again, and to put like the ultimate bow on this, it just is unbelievable to me that people could have undervalued this game. And yes, it is a regular season game. You have to beat them in the playoffs, of course. When it was going into a bye. The narratives were going to be extra because there was nothing going on for this week. If we were playing another opponent on Sunday or Thursday or Monday, you'd be able to be like, wipe the slate clean. We're going on the next team. The fact that there was no game coming up made it all the more crucial to get that win.
Yep.
I agree.
Man. Now it's all eyes on the Sabres.
Kick your feet up after a win for a couple weeks.
Yeah, now we gotta lock in there. It's gonna feel good going into that game against San Fran. Sunday Night Football, eyes on Buffalo again. Yeah, the AFC is good, and we'll get a clearer picture too. Finally, we'll get some more balanced records and everything after this with the AFC, with the Bills and everything. So we'll have a clear picture after next week.
Well, it's pretty much
don't sleep on the 49ers. Don't sleep on
top.
Don't sleep on Shanahan, but the 49ers looking iffy.
Yeah, tough. Not great. Injuries hurting them. Someone in here, where is this? Josh Allen should be MVP front runner after today. Buff Sports fan.
He's into the front runner.
He is the front runner.
He's back in the conversation.
Yep.
Definitely.
He's
plus 150, plus 175 in some spots. He's back in the front.
Yep.
By a nudge, but that was probably. I mean, he played a good game overall, but that 28-yard run had to do it, right?
Well,
that was basically it.
As he would say in college football, your Heisman moment. That's the Heisman moment right there. If he gets it, yeah, it's right there. And Lamar also dropping low. Didn't on a play where he could have had a nice moment. They shut him down. I mean, that was a crazy. I don't know what they were really trying to do on that 2-point conversion. It was kind of a mess, anyways. But there were like 7 Steelers in Lamar's face as he's running on that sweep, and he had no chance on that. So. Tough scene. That's how it works, though, in the NFL. Like with the MVP, like that, the narrative flips because of 2 plays in this game.
Hey, speaking of the Ravens, I mean, we have our own questions at kicker here, but Justin Tucker looks like he's
washed, man.
Yeah, well,
over.
He's definitely not he doesn't have his long ball anymore, and it seemed to be a kicking epidemic around the league where there were just multiple missed field goals by the same kicker within like minutes of each other, at least in 2 different games that I saw.
The poor Chicago Bears. I went out to a local establishment to go watch the game. So I pull up to watch the Bills game. So I pull up literally as my Uber's getting there, and I'm watching like on Red Zone. So I know there's like 30 seconds left. So I'm like, oh, we're gonna see this kick. Like they're gonna win this game. Sit down, get my drink. I see him line up for this kick. It gets blocked, and then you see the Packers are on. I just started laughing. I was like, I felt bad, but I was like, this is like the most tragic, funny thing. Like, how do you have a
what was people's reaction around you?
Basically the same. It was like a groan, but also like, of course this is what happened. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Crazy game. So it's all, remember, guys, it could always be so much worse when you look around the NFL. That's why you got to watch all these games and figure it out, because we got it really good. Actually, tomorrow's going to be great. Now,
oh my god, you see
eat it up. It's crazy.
You see some of the shit other teams got going on. It's insane. But also remember, the reason you got to tune in is because you can always win something here on Trainwreck and pay the bills. We got a winner in our Andre Reed signed pylon giveaway contest. We got over 300 retweets. Thank you for everyone for entering. Our winner of the Andre Reed signed pylon, Ashley Mann. Looks like her name's at Shashman. So congratulations, Ashley. Looks like she was at the game today. Nice. Pretty good photo there. So we'll go, shout out Ashley.
There we go.
She'll be able to add, a nice pylon signed by Andre Reed to her repertoire. So congratulations, Ashley. We got a winner on the post-game pod. First time for everything.
This is awesome. What a day, guys.
Let's go.
What a day. Anything else before we go, guys? This is great.
Well,
I wish all our shows could be like this. This is awesome.
Let's make sure everybody remembers we've got the Pay the Bills podcast this Tuesday, 7 p.m., usually at 7 p.m., where we'll go into a little bit more in depth on this game with Mike Bunt and Carson Hayek.
This is why we pay him the big bucks. This is why we deal with the Asian maniac. This is what he does. This is a real worker right here.
Thank goodness. He's using that big head.
Maniac. Any thought? Last thing, actually. How
I have one final shout out.
Yeah.
The stadium vibes were insane, very edgy. People wanted blood. That was, I think you saw that in that opening series, for sure. But the only thing they wanted more than blood was the delicious Picasso's pizza we had at the pregame. Bang. You can get it at any of the 6 locations all over Western New York, and you can order it anywhere nationwide via Goldbelly. That's your Picasso's pizza. My God.
Love it. Get that Picasso's pizza. Celebrate all week. It's victory week. We got a bye week. It's not victory Monday. It's victory Tuesday. It's victory Wednesday. Victory week. That's what we're getting here. All right, gents. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for the folks all who have tuned in here. Stay tuned, Trainwreck Sports all week long as we enter into the bye week here with the Bills. Sabres got action. UB's got action. We got stuff all over the place. But last but not least, go Bills.
Let's go Bills.